Hello and welcome to Skeindeer Knits. My name is Ellie and I am a Norwegian living and knitting in London. And you can find me on Instagram as Skeindeer, and I am Skeindeer Knits as a designer on Ravelry. Welcome to my knitting podcast. For new viewers, this is basically where I sit and talk about knitting for about an hour, usually on a weekly basis, but that's not been the case as of late, and I'm going to get into why in just a bit. After I welcome returning viewers, welcome back. So I'm just gonna cut straight to it because these episodes are less and less regular, and returning viewers will often know why, but I nonetheless keep getting questions, where have you been, what's going on, is everything okay, I was so worried. And I'm like, it's been an ongoing theme since I started doing this out of sheer procrastination from my PhD that I am, whoa, another hair, it's a tradition, that I'm working on a PhD. And I am actually being quite good lately. I'm taking it very seriously, and I just thought I'd say that. It's a Sunday today, so I managed to squeeze in some time to record an episode just before I am going to be visited by a friend who's actually Anushka from the Crimson Stitchery, so you'll know that. I have no idea when I'm going to have time to edit this because I keep leaving my computer at work because I'm being that good and I'm working from work. So I just want to say thanks for the patience. Thank you. I really appreciated it. There's really no reason to ask, when are you going to come back, or when are you going to be more regular, and asking these things I know comes from a very, very, very good place, and I really appreciate it, but I am struggling with some serious levels of guilt over not being as present as I would like to be, and that's completely self-imposed. But when I get lots of well-meaning, wishes for me to return on a more regular basis, that often to me translates to, guilt. That's on me. But honestly, if anyone's wondering, what's the best way to support me in this time, is literally just patience. You don't even have to say anything, silent patience. I'm just I just feel supported by people completely accepting that I am a bit AWOL right now. You don't, literally not saying anything might actually be just the best thing, and I am so glad that I managed to squeeze in a little bit of time this very Sunday, this gloomy rainy Sunday that I'm enjoying, to record an episode. Hopefully I will have time to finish this before Anushka rings the doorbell, because it's going to be a bit awkward if she has to sit at this, although I mean, impromptu guest, there's nothing wrong about that. And also talking at a slightly lower volume because my annoying flatmate is home, and I don't want it to think that I'm talking to myself, even though I technically am. So that out of the way, I do have some knit along news. I'm going to cover them very briefly because I'm only running 2 knit alongs. It's the VioletMittens KAL that is going to end at the end of February. The last pattern came out in January, and I'm only just giving you guys extra time to finish however many pair you want to finish. You can be in the entry for just doing 1 pair, or how many pairs you want, if it's just lots of pairs of one pattern, or 1 of each, or 3 of one and 1 of the other, whatever you want to do. 1 pair is 1 entry, and yeah, I'll have some good prices for that. And whoa, what else is there to say? Yes, the Skeindeer garment KAL that's going on. Honestly, I am so happy to see the buzzing activity in my group, despite me not being able to be as present as I would like to be. I've already covered that. I'm just really, really glad that you guys are still kind of keeping up momentum for me. Thank you. I'm really glad that you're enjoying this KAL. I do also have some prices to announce, but I'm going to do that at the very end of the episode. I don't really have much to talk about in terms of acquisitions, so I thought let's just put it at the very end. So for those of you who are just watching this to know, is she going to announce prices for the Julaften KAL? Yes, I am. Just give to the very end. So that's that. Yeah, I have a pattern to add to your Skeindeer garment KAL knits if you want to do that. I don't have that many quick knits. I don't have slow knits, I would argue, but I only have, I think right now, only 1 chunky sweater pattern. So it's about time we have a second one. We add a second one to the pile, and it's currently recording this is not out at all. It's not even done. But by the time this episode goes up, it is out on Ravelry. So when you watch this, can find it at Rauma. I'm gonna link to it below, but I'm also gonna show you here. Could I have worn that sweater in this episode? Yeah, probably could have, probably should have. Instead I chose to wear a sweater hug because it's just one of those days. It's just such a cozy sweater. I enjoy it. Yeah, that's one of my patterns as well. It came out just before Christmas. It got very popular, which thank you. Yeah, I'm really appreciative of that. It's very modifiable, the sweater. You could do this sort of funnel neck that I've done. You could actually do it shorter and just have a regular crew neck. You could do it double, or then you'll have a folded turtleneck. Same with the cuffs. You could do those folded doubles as well. Doubles. Okay, I'm just gonna get to the actual sweater I was gonna talk about, because that is this baby here. This is my latest pattern. There's gonna be a lot fewer patterns now because PhD. Let's not talk about that. Let's just not. But the sweater is the last in quite some time now. It is called Tjockhost. Tjockhost basically means thick autumn. And so why am I releasing that at the very end of winter? Well, because at autumn I released the host cardigan, which I've got this like massive pile on a chair over there, and it's like not at the bottom even, like somewhere in the middle. I can't. Just imagine host. You don't remember the green cropped vintage cardigan with some lovely lace around the waist, yeah. And one of my test knitters for host was like, have you thought about doing a chunky host raglan? And I'm like, I mean, I have like sworn not to do raglans, but it's a nice idea and I wasn't gonna do it. Then I went down to Brighton and went to the shop Yak, where they have Sweaterorama by Rauma, which to be fair they have in 2 local yarn shops in London as well. But I saw it and I wanted it and I bought it and immediately knitted this sweater. I did the vast majority of it very quickly, and then I put some of it up because I went home for Christmas. And it is done. So I went with a raglan. As I said, I have sworn not to do raglans because I'm not usually very happy with raglans. I don't like the uniform increase here and there, because if you look at the shoulder, it's quite angular. Why raglans? Because what you do with raglans is kind of just forcing your shoulder into something that goes like a triangle, like a diagonal. And I just... and you get extra stuff from here, and you get too little up here or whatever. So what I've done, through trial and error, come up with something that decreases, this is bottom up, right? So this decreases quite abruptly from the underarm up to here because there's a lot of positive ease in this sweater. So you want to take that out first so that you have a chance to have a good shoulder fit. Then it decreases kind of regularly at the sleeve side and not so regularly on the body side, because you still need enough fabric to get up to your shoulders. And then we stop decreasing for the sleeve because we've really done enough at this point, and you do want to leave a little bit for your shoulder cap and increase quite excessively at the body side here. So you can see what's happening up here, and you get this really nice shoulder curved raglan happening here. I am so pleased with it. I am so pleased with it. It worked out really well. So this is what we got, and you will recognize the bottom lace panel from the original host. I only did 1 repeat of it because when I did the host and I'd gotten this far, I looked at it and I was like, that would be cool as well. But I've written the pattern one way, so I'm gonna follow the pattern that I've written because I guess why not. So I wanted to try that for this one, and it looked really, really cute. So it does kind of repeat some things from host, but host was a satin sleeve. It was also bottom up because reversing this for top down was just not happening. This thing here, I'm sure it's possible, but I'm just not here for it. So I'm just very happy with it. It's completely just like loose fit, straight silhouette, nothing in particular happening there. As far as the crop goes, it's sort of reaches just at the end of the waist rather than like in the waist, and again, just like with the host cardigan, the length is very adjustable. Literally once you have made it from here up to the end of the lace, you just knit stocking it as long as you want to the underarm, and the yoke isn't particularly deep, so you don't have to like estimate any extra drop or anything like that. It's pretty true to the underarm. Does that make sense? I don't know. Sleeves are happening here. There's nothing to really say about them, you know. They're also bottom up and they all come together for doing the raglan. And I really enjoyed the raglan. I really want to explore this sort of style of raglans more. This sort of shoulder curved. I do also want to put out like a word of warning that before I had blocked this, I was like, oh no, it has failed, it is bad. I'm like, oh, it just doesn't fit. And then after I blocked it and the yarn had sort of like, you know, settled, it was bang on. So I don't want anyone to worry before blocking, because by blocking I literally mean soaking in water for about half an hour to an hour or more, squeeze out the water, lay flat to dry, basically. Just want to relax the yarn. So that's Shoe Coast in Cyrano by De Rare Natura, French yarn. You can pretty much use any chunky yarn. I want to make sure it's on the thicker side, but yeah, chunky will do. You may be able to get away with Aran as well if you like sort of loose fabric. Don't really have much else to say. It's just a fun knit. Also very pleased with the slightly dropped front of the neckline, obviously, because I'm really geeking out over neckline shapings lately. That's been like my thing, and this worked out really well. So Shoe Coast, you can get that on Ravelry. I will as ever put a discount code down below for those of you who want to get the pattern early. Just be aware that it's not going to be valid for more than just a few days, because or a bit longer maybe, but yeah, just because you know. Anyway, that's that new pattern alert. I'm still working on those socks, but no promises there, because I bring them with me to work every day. But you know what, I've been so good and I've actually done work instead of sock work, so the intent has been there. But I've actually written nearly a whole chapter of my thesis, and there's like 5 chapters, so I'm like, I don't. Yeah, let's not talk about it. It's so stressful. I can't speak. Anyway, I have finished objects. I have quite a few finished objects. They are currently laying flat on the floor to dry, so I'm gonna gamble that they are sort of dry, that I can pick them up and show you, because I am really pleased with them both, and I finished them both yesterday. Having like one day where you finish 2 whole garments is so rewarding, and it's one of the perks of being a whip addict like myself, basically meaning I have more than 50 projects. I counted 56 last time. I think that was after I bound off these 2, so we were close to 60 at some point. I have, as of right now, I think 28 garment projects. So one of the perks of doing that, apart from, you know, the sheer pile of stuff, but the perks is that suddenly you can finish lots of stuff in one day because they're all this close to being finished. Do I recommend working this way? I think it depends on how much time you have. A lot of people tell me, oh, I could never do that. I would be so stressed out. I would have so many weeks to be so stressed. I would argue, I am not you, so like, you know, each to their own, but I would argue that when you have 5 projects, they will stress you out, because it's not just 1, it's not just 2, it's like 5, and you build it maybe up to 7, and you go, oh, you got 10. I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna finish that. Oh. I'm telling you, once you go past a certain number, it just sort of evens out and just fizzles, and you feel nothing. You are numb. You are numb to any further cast-ons. You're not gonna feel it, and it's quite nice. No guilt in casting on stuff. It's pretty good. I don't remember if I said this last time, because I did some counting at the end of January, and I was like really pleased with myself that I had bound off 5 projects, right? 5 projects a whole month. The problem is that I'd cast on 6 projects. And you know, I didn't feel the pang of guilt and stuff like that when I cast on, because I just cast on without abandon, because it's knitting, it's supposed to be fun. But if the numbers go more up than down in terms of whips, I'm gonna look into that and consider maybe having the numbers go in reverse. And I think so far in February they have. I don't know that I've cast on anything in February so far. So that's pretty good. I'm pleased with that. Not even work project, which kind of suggests I'm not designing anything right now, which isn't wrong. I'm really not, and I'm like, ugh. But I've got designs out in my shop. It's gonna probably sustain me for a while. But without further ado, you probably want to see the project. I'm literally just like stalling so that we get, you know, max out any seconds that this can dry. So fingers crossed that it is dry-ish. Okay, it's a bit damp, but it's not gonna like lose its shape or anything. So this is Boohoo's. This is the Boohoo's sweater by Carol Feller that was in Laine magazine a year ago. I don't remember the issue, but there's only one issue that has a pattern called Boohoo's by Carol Feller, so there. And oh, this is just, I am so pleased with it. I am really happy with it. So you got these stockinette sleeves happening here. It is a bottom-up knit sweater. You knit the stockinette in the round. You feel like it's gonna take forever because it's all stockinette and very dark yarn, and then you get to do colour work with steeks for the armholes in the pattern. Not something I put in as a modification. They were already there, and did that, and then it hibernated for a very long time. And then I picked up the project again and did the neckline shaping and short rows, and I actually continued on doing that with a steek for the neckline as well. And I have, well, two things. One thing, I think I forgot to go down a needle size after the colour work, so I think it's looser. The stockinette up here is looser than the stockinette for the body, just by half a needle size, but still that matters, and I have regrets. I should have gone down a needle size after the colour work. I'm not sure. I have a feeling that I did the body on 4, colour work on 4.5, and then I just continued the 4.5mm needle. And it doesn't really matter, like it's fine. It's yeah, I just feel the fabric sometimes. I'm like, oh, it's a bit loose, it's a bit loose. And then I kind of just wish I'd done that for the whole body because it's actually quite a nice fabric. But, you know, it's the weight of the garment is up here. So that was a bit of a bummer that that was looser. But really, really, it's not gonna matter. I'm not gonna care. Like 5 months from now, I'm gonna have forgotten and I'm not gonna care. The other thing that I have some qualms about, let me just make it absolutely clear, I love this pattern. Carol Feller is brilliant and super nice. Laine magazine is amazing, but I'm not sure, and also John Arbon yarn is just, you know, but I don't know that I'd stick in this yarn. I don't know. I know a lot of you guys were like, it's fine, I've done it lots of times, it's super fine, and just relax, just take it easy. And I'm just like, but it's worsted spun. I don't know. And then, because if you don't know, I normally knit with woolen spun non-superwash yarns, and they are sticky yarns. They are like Velcro. They're not going to unravel. Even if they're quite soft lamb's wool, they don't unravel. Whereas this yarn and all the yarns from John Arbon are worsted spun, which makes them smoother. The fibres have been combed parallel. I always do this when I say combed. I don't know, like that is the thing that I do now. But you can tell I've not done this for a while. Basically, worsted spun just means that it actually gets smoother and softer. People often find that this sort of spinning is more comfortable to wear. It's more next to skin friendly. I mean, I can attest to that. What I'm wearing right now is worsted spun as well, I am pretty sure. But I'm not sure how I feel about steeking that. I feel like that's risky, and I did notice this when I had done the steek for the neckline, the one that I incorporated in, but you know, same yarn, so it's the same, yeah, same. Some things were coming undone as I was picking up stitches along the edge. So as I'd done a few rounds, I actually started tacking down the steek as I had it here, and it's not beautiful, but it worked, and it's more contained now. It's like I have encapsulated the steek in the yarn I was weaving it, so it's sort of going around and around and around, so it adds a little bit of bulk, but I actually feel like it's safer now had I just laid it flat and tried to make it even, because when I do that I actually tend to cause more harm than good, even though that's probably the more you know, professional technique. I just made this like sort of sausage edge. I don't know. It's not beautiful, but I feel like it's just keeping it safe, and it's just less biased to go in a certain direction because it's sort of like rolled up on its own, the steek. This is just the worst explanation. Look at that, it's just a terrible execution all around. But it worked, and when I'm holding it up like this, you don't see any bulk. You didn't even do that before blocking. So it's fine, but I did learn my lesson after the neckline when I was going to do it for the armhole. So there I actually picked up stitches around the steek before cutting it open. So I basically did the crochet reinforcement. That doesn't really do that. Did that, picked up the sleeve stitches, and then I knitted a few rounds in magic loop, because you can't really knit in the round when your sleeve is maintained this way because of the steek, right? You can't just open it because there's a steek. So I did a few rounds in magic loop, and then I felt like I was far enough away from this armhole steek. I cut it open. So you can see there is the inside, and then I did the same technique where I just kind of carried the yarn that I was sewing with to tack it down just around the edge of the steek into the main garment. So you can sort of see here, I have no sewing techniques. I know nothing about sewing. People say the name of stitches and I'm like, I've got nothing. So it's really not the professional way. It does add a bit of bulk, like I said, but I feel like I have secured it enough. So the combination of doing this, having the crochet method, and a non-superwash yarn, even though it's worsted spun, the three factors together is going to keep this steek safe. I'm not worried that it's going to unravel. But had it just been hanging out there the way I can do with woolen spun yarn, it probably would have started possibly to unravel, or at least more easily in time. So the message of this is basically tacking down the steek is always a good, you know, finishing technique for aesthetics, but it's not necessary for woolen spun yarn, but it is, I would say, necessary for worsted spun yarn. And you can steek either, you just want to be a bit more careful with worsted spun non-superwash yarn. But if it's superwash or a very smooth fiber like alpaca, it's a sewing machine or something, just take precautions there. So yeah, different rules across the board. If you want to be safe, just use woolen spun non-superwash yarn, you know, Fionel, Jameson's, all that good stuff. Whole super soft, obviously. And this is it, and I am just really pleased with the colours. Look at that pop of orange. Gigi, are you proud? I've done orange. I don't know if you watched this, but I've done orange. So the main colour is like, nobody's surprised, right? This is my colour in a nutshell. It's like a very dark purple. It's nearly black, it's so dark. Whereas I went for this sage green, this aqua blue, and pops of like a sort of dusty but still bright orange. And I like it. I really like it. It's not my colours, and you know what? I'm here for it. And it's gonna go super well with the second winter shawl I did. Vinterkjole by Pinneguri. Because it's of pops of orange. I have orange in my wardrobe now, in my knitted wardrobe. So there. Gigi is rubbing off on me. That's what's happening. It's like the colour I use the least, so I'm quite pleased having incorporated that. And also I have one intact skein of every colour. I mean, not exactly intact from this, but you don't use more than, I think the one I used the most used 5 grams. So I have between 95 to about 90 something grams of each of the contrast colours from 100 gram skeins. And I have a whole 100 gram skein of the main colour, because actually I had just a tiny little bit of yarn at the end of the last sleeve. So I am thinking in time, you know, when I have time, to design a leftover striped DK weight sweater or cardigan or something. Probably sweater, because, you know, steeking this stuff, I don't know how I feel still. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe not. Yeah, so I mean, you can stripe anything. I really would love to see some of you guys stripe this sweater. I thought of this as sort of like a sweater you can do anything with. I already talked about the modifications you can put into the rib. Obviously the length, you can do split hem or not split hem. And I would like to see some of you guys use it with leftover yarns and striping it and maybe like fading it, gradients. Like, it's so versatile. It's like such a basic sweater, right? So you can do a lot with it, and yeah, would encourage that. So you don't need to, you know, have permission from the designer to stripe things, although I'm giving you that now, I suppose. You listen to that rain. I'm gonna open the window, hang on. Do you hear that? We've had some weather lately. I'm sure Amy has filled you in, but it's been storms, it's been rain. I was woken up by like heavy rain this morning. It's actually been raining in my window onto my yarn today. It's wild, it's wild. I even went outside with an umbrella. Like, I didn't stay inside because of the rain. That's even that in its own. I'm such a house cat. For a dog person, I strongly identify with house cats. Anyway, that's my boohoo sweater by the brilliant Carol Feller in beautiful John Arbon yarn. And I despite my misgivings about whether to steek this yarn or not, Devonia DK by John Arbon has quickly become a favorite of mine. Would definitely not be the last time I'm working with it. It feels so nice and woolly yet soft and strong, and I don't think this is gonna pill a lot. I am slightly infatuated with this yarn. So, maybe I'll wear this at Unravel because I know they're gonna be there and I can be like, you know, on brand. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's so nice. It's so nice. I'm really proud of it. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna put it down on the floor again and let it just get the last bit of dampness out of it and show you my other finished object. So this one's not been on the floor for as long, so it's a little bit more damp, though it's in a finer weight, so I guess it's all the same. This one I have worked on for over a year. I cast it on in January because I knew I wanted it done for Christmas. I did not have it done for Christmas because it was supposed to be the Christmas present for my little sister, and she's surprisingly knit-worthy. I'll give her that. And she really wanted a nice cropped yellow cardigan. I'm gonna comment on the button situation in a bit. And oh, have I worked on this? I do think it's a very good pattern. It's by, I have forgotten her name. This is great. I've only said it a million times, but yeah. But she has, I don't think she's got that many patterns, so I'm really surprised she's just gone straight for a satin sleeve design because they're hard, and I'm very impressed with this one. I think it is good. My only misgivings, and maybe this is just me and my interpretation, was that it's got different lengths, which I thought was really good, but all the lengths have waist shaping, and I'm like, why would you shape for the waist if it starts at the waist? So it's got this, like, it goes in here when the waist is like down at the bottom of the rib here. It's just very strange, because if I stand up here, you can see small my waist is about here. Why would it go out here, you know? That's a bit strange. So I think it was probably down to my interpretation of it, in that the different lengths are probably for different length people, rather than whether you want a long or cropped cardigan. So I should have thought about that, basically, and not done waist shaping and just cast on the stitch count for the small of the waist here and done that from just hindsight. And then come the modifications, because I put in steeks for everything. I put in steeks for the armholes, I put in steeks for the both front and the back of the neck and the front of the cardigan. So all these steek projects that I have done lately that have had steeks beyond just the cardigan front have actually given me a lot of thoughts about steeks, and I think I actually am starting to prefer steeks with less stitches. I used to be quite in favor of just putting in like 7 stitches. Right now I actually prefer to purl the first and the last stitch of the fabric next to the steek rather than in the steek, and then the steek just being 3 stitches. Hell, I might even go down to 1. So yeah, that's, because it does add a tiny bit of bulk. It's not noticeable. It is, you will just about notice it's you can feel it. You probably can't see it much. It's a bit of a dip here where there's no steak, but generally you'd have to be very picky to care, and I am really not. So it just makes the process so much more enjoyable for me, having steaks, and also like actually being able to gauge, you know, whether the back is the same length as each front when I'm not doing them separately. It's just, everything becomes very much the same without having to count and think so hard, and I don't want to think all the time. Yeah, so what happened where this started taking really long? It was the sleeves, because I gave quite a bit of misinformation, which I have kind of gone back on since, but just to clarify, I was like, oh, I don't agree with like the few number of stitches that I was supposed to pick up here. I think they're way too few, and blah 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 blah. I was wrong, and because I didn't remember that, because you do short row shaping, every stitch represents 2 rows, not 1, 2. So I actually ended up spending a lot of time making the kind of shoulder caps and knitted them quite long, and I looked at them and I was like, they're really big for my sister, and I tried them on her and they were really big. She was actually like, it's fine, done is better than perfect, like it's fine, but I was like, oh, I can't continue on this, knowing my mistakes, and so I frogged them and did them again, and the result is so much better and so much closer to what the pattern said. My modification at the end ended up just being using the Elizabeth Dorothy technique, where you basically shape the pickup rate. So you use the pickup rate to shape the shoulder cap so that it resembles more of a classic knit flat sleeve thing, you know, like sort of old Rowan pattern sort of thing, and it just looks really flattering. You can see my fingers on there. It's not see-through, it's not. I have used Usk by Hillesvåg. It's their fingering to sport weight, kind of equivalent to Finul, and I love it, and I kind of want one for myself. What else do I have to say? The buttons. What is going on here? I always use 8 buttons on my cardigans, whether it's like cropped or fairly long or whatever. It's just 8 buttons seems to be fine, and I bought 8 buttons, but for some reason, somehow, I don't know, I have done 11 buttonholes. Oh, why have I done 11 buttonholes? I don't know. I had bought the buttons when I made the buttonholes, and I was pretty sure I had done 8, but here we are. We are 3 buttons too short, but the solution to this is very simple. It is basically, I already told her, I asked my sister, do you mind going and buying 3 buttons at the yarn shop at the town square in Trondheim? Just buy yourself 3 and attach them. I'll include some of the yarn that I sew them on with. You'll be fine. So she's gonna do that, and then she will have a finished cardigan. And yeah, it's so cute. Isn't it cute? I am just really pleased with it. It is quite hard to get the right shade of yellow visible on here. It's a very cheese yellow, and apparently we're just struggling with the light so much right now. I'm gonna see if this helps. I just changed the white balance just mid-video, as you do, but it does make the cardigan look a lot more true to color, at least on my monitor. Maybe that will make this entire episode really yellow. Oh my god, yeah, we can't work with this. We can't work with this. I think I found the happy middle ground, and the cardigan's looking pretty good as well. So we're gonna stick with that. That's just stuff I could edit out if I was pro, but I'm not. So there we have it. I am so pleased with it. I'm so pleased with it. I'm so pleased that all the whole sticky stuff worked out. I haven't even bothered tacking down the sticks in here. They don't take up that much space. It's not really going to show. I sometimes feel like it shows more when you tack it down. And yeah, they're not going to unravel. This is woolen spun. This is like perfect steek yarn. So yeah, I did tack it down a bit at the shoulder here, just because you want to make sure the shoulders sit nice and flat. And if anything, this steeks out a bit of a structure up here. Saying now, it's still good. My sister's not going to care at all. I wasted all this brain energy on nothing. She will like it either way, and she was very pleased that I was going to send this to her very soon, so I'm just going to do that. there we have it. Amelia, it is done. I'll put her down to dry again. But I've been knitting on stuff and things, and I decided it is time to pick up the good old weekender again. And have I? I have. I basically have done, you know, you remember before I had decided to basically copy Amy, to hold whole super soft in 2 shades of grey, double, to make this beautiful, oh that looks really good on camera, that looks really good. So this really marled, heathered, what have you fabric, and I worked that up to the underarm, and then I put in sleeves because I do that. And I have taken lessons from myself in that I put the purl stitches to mark where the steek is on the actual garment side. So you see the purl column comes up from here, and then the 3 stitches for the steek are cast on. So those will be the ones I will do the crochet reinforcement into and cut between. You'll also notice that this is very see-through, but that is just because whole super soft is drenched in spinning oil, and that will be washed out and it will bloom beautifully and become considerably softer. So now I am basically working up the back, doing the rib, and I have marked for the neckline opening for the back, and I'm basically going to try to do some kind of combination of 3 needle bind off, sewing, do a sewn bind off for the tubular bind off, yeah, and then continue the 3 needle bind off at the end here. So I'm gonna have to estimate a bit of yarn length to do that. It's not what the pattern tells you to do, I just want to. So that is something I'm gonna experiment with next, and I have already done the front, and I seem to struggle with the idea of boat necks. I don't seem to ever accept that boat necks are supposed to be straight across. Because I decided to experiment with, I was watching both of the Hunger Games Mockingjay films yesterday, and I just powered through this and did a bit of an experiment where I did short rows for the rib in a way that made the neckline dip. Look at that. So when I be wearing it, it's gonna like sit a bit lower here. Right, it's not gonna cut across so much, it's just gonna, you know? I think that's gonna work out really well. Obviously you are now looking at it from the inside because you're actually making the sweater inside out because it's reverse stockinette, so it's gonna probably look more like this. Yeah. And you see I've done the tubular bind off here already, and these stitches are ready to be 3 needle bound off, I think. I think that's what I'm gonna do. It's gonna look so good. It's gonna be really cool. So that's a project I'm really enjoying right now. The reason why I picked up the weekender is actually because of a little cheeky cast on. This was done in January, so it doesn't count for February, just saying. But I've done it since last time we spoke, so I'm going to show you that now, even though it's been quite a while since I worked on it. Here it's in my 3rd Volt yarn bag, which is so cool. It's so cool. Anyway, so you will remember I bought some magpie yarn. I bought a lot of magpie yarn at Vogue Knitting Live, and I already devoted one of the sweater quantities to a sweater called Grid Lines by Suzanne Sommer, which I've not touched since because I have to modify something because I planned poorly. And the other sweater quantity I have now devoted to Nurtured by Andrew Mowry in apparently what's my favorite color, grey. It has like this hint, this yarn, of something more bluish, purplish. If you compare it to this, that's a true grey. It does that, and I kind of like it. So I don't usually put stitch markers in for where I increase or decrease for the sleeve, but I have done it this time because the texture is confusing to read your knitting. So it's going to be easier to make sure the second sleeve turns out the same. It took a while before I'd established how frequently I wanted to do the shaping. Sorry, babies were crying outside, we can't have that. So there's no focus. Oh dear, how am I going to show you this amazing texture? Because the texture is truly amazing. Look at that. It takes ages to do because you have to slip so many stitches to make these yarn overs in the front, but oh my god, is it worth it. And this yarn is so soft. It's the silk cotton merino, I think, and oh, it's just lovely. And because this is DK and the yarn was actually written for Aran weight yarn, it is really light. I've heard other people struggle with this in Aran in that it becomes a very stiff garment that almost stands upright on its own, and I wanted something softer and lighter, and this seems to be doing the trick. So there we are. And I remember, you may remember too, that I said I was going to do the loop yarn I was going to use that for Nurtured, but I guess I'm not. I guess I'm doing this. This is going to be the yarn for Nurtured, and the loop yarn is going to be something else. It would have been see-through this if it weren't for the yarn over. So the yarn over is actually adding a bit of, you know, layering, and yeah. I don't know what's happening with this project right now. I could easily just start the second sleeve. It was relatively quick given that there's so many slip stitches. But I just have so many things I want to knit on. So I just done one cheeky sleeve, you know. The other one, maybe it can wait, maybe not. But it was fun to try. And I've always wanted to do a little bit of Andrea Mowry's. Lots of people are obviously, and it's not that everything Andrea Mowry's my cup of tea, but there is like this one era, if you will, an Andrea Mowry era that I'm just here for, and it's like the Nurtured, Weekender, Wool and Honey, that whole thing. I'm just like, I want to do everything from that little chapter of her design timeline, if you will. So I'm approaching that. That's what's going on there. And I really like grey, so it's easy to style crazy shawls with grey. Lastly, I have a sweater that I've knitted on since last time we talked, but it's been a long time for me, so I may not remember much about it, but it's a sweater I am designing that I'm hoping, but not promising, but hoping it can be a free pattern for a change. And it's grown. It's a contiguous style. I'm hoping I have enough yarn for both long sleeves and a relatively cropped body, but I have used half my yarn for this amount. So if the other half is enough for long sleeves and the rest of the body and the neckline, we're good. Because, yeah, it's knitted with very big needles, in my book anyway. I think I'm using a 6mm. Oh, it says US here as well. That's a US 10, what do you know? So that's what's happening there. This is Pickles yarn, so I've kind of affectionately started calling this project my Fuzzy Pickle pattern, and maybe that will just be the pattern name, which is a terrible name, but I like it. So Fuzzy Pickle is in this beautiful alpaca wool blend held together with Pickles pure wool. So it's fuzzy, but it's got a nice light fabric, and yeah, I'm gonna pick up on the neckline and make sure that's a bit close, because these necklines can look pretty wild before you do that, and then you find actually it's quite, you know. So that's that. It's just a basic sweater in chunky gauge, if you will. So, yeah. I've been toying with the idea of photographing this when it's finished in the Avenue Park Cemetery next to Knit With Attitude. If you ever go to Knit With Attitude, you should definitely check out Avenue Park Cemetery. It is creepy. It's like some kind of black metal album cover. I love it. It's just great. I love taking people there if they're visiting London, and I managed to drag them into Stoke Newington for some reason. Usually the yarn shop, but sometimes other reasons. And yeah, it's really cool. And it's like, it's just a park really, but it has gravestones everywhere and they're like creepy as hell. So I might do that, you know, make it a Halloween special or something, but let's not talk about Halloween in February, yeah? Anyway, that's my project. So I'm going to talk about my one acquisition, and then I'm going to do the KAL prices, and then we're done, and hopefully in time for Anushka to come here. She just said afternoon, and it's afternoon from 46 minutes ago, so yes, acquisition. Of course I had to get it. Of course, you guys know me. I got it as soon as humanly possible, and I just think it's gorgeous. 52 weeks of socks. One pair of socks for every week of the year. This is gonna be a classic. Like, this is just, it's such a great collection of sock patterns. And of course, when you open the book, what's the first sock pattern that you're gonna see? It is, of course, a sock pattern by Mars of Hey Brownberry. So it's a lot of like people who you will have heard of and people who I know, and both. And yeah, it's just a great book. The whole production of this feels like just a book, you know, capital B book, with the quality of the paper, the book binding. It's just nice. Fabienne has a pattern here, my friend Fabienne. Check that out. It's not focusing, is it? There we are. So yeah, I will admit there's a lot of people in here actually I haven't heard of, so that's exciting. You could use this book as a way of discovering new designers who do probably more things than just socks. So it's all around just a really cool purchase for all sorts of reasons. Oh, look at that spread. Oh yeah. It's just classic Laine photography all over this book. So if you're definitely into the Laine mood, then I would strongly suggest getting this book as well. I always have to get, you know, the latest knitting books. I'm a knitting book addict. I have so many knitting books in case this wasn't a giveaway for that, you know. There's a shelf up there you can't see as well. There's a little bit over there and I really like knitting books. I really do. So there's not much to say if you like socks, if you like Laine, if you want to have something to discover new designers with. I mean, I'm really happy with it. I don't know how to review sock books. It's socks. It's great variety in socks. Socks all the way. Could have been more colourwork socks, but you know what? I have myself to blame for that, for not submitting at all. And do I have regrets about that? Yeah. There's a lot of really cool submissions coming out now where they have worked with a lot of both new and established designers, and there's been quite open submissions, and I haven't taken any opportunities to do that because I don't feel like I am in a place where I can commit to anything where I have to be relied upon. So oh god, I just look forward to getting to do this, what I do full time. That's gonna be great. I can do stuff like that. But until then, there are amazing books that I get to enjoy, and yeah, so that leads me to KAL prices. Whether I have something to say after having announced the prices, I can't tell you. You're gonna have to skip to the end to find out, because I improv, right? So prices, KAL, yes. So I have drawn 3 winners for the Julaften price draw, and the first winner is going to win this bag that was donated to me by Hide and Hammer, which is the bag making company by Fenula. This is what it looks like. This is basically a sock knitting bag, so you can just hook it to your belt or whatever, and it can fit 1 cake of yarn that you just send to pull out. And I saw so many people walking around with these when I was at Woolen in Ireland, and they are fancy and real leather, and they smell so good. This is like, you know, that shoe shop smell, you know, the one, like a fancy shoe shop. So this may be a small price, but it's not a small price, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I want to keep it, not gonna lie. But I've drawn a winner. So the winner for this is Sarah C13. So if you just want to send me a message on Ravelry, I'll try to keep on top of that, and just send me your postal address and I will have this shipped to you. That's your prize, and yeah, hope you will like it. I think it's a really good prize. Anyway, next winner will win this beautiful hand-sewn project bag that's quite big, that has a motif of VioletMittens. That seemed quite fitting, and comes with this skein of, well, twisted threads yarn. This gorgeous sock yarn, this kind of fingering to sport weight, Colorado grown Corriedale and Tunis wool, and this is really nice. I wish I could get more of this yarn. It's gorgeous. So you get both of these. The winner is VioletMittens. So do get in touch with me. Again, just send me a Ravelry message with your postal address. I'll have this shipped to you when I get my act together. So congratulations. Now, I was originally only going to go for 2 prizes, but since there were so many people taking part in the Julaften KAL, I thought I'd draw a third prize as well, so third winner. And the winner is annasstickningar. So I'm gonna assume by your name that you are Swedish. It doesn't say on your profile, but I'm really hoping that you are, because it means that maybe this will be a useful price to you, because the price is a Rauma goodie bag, and Rauma famously has patterns in Norwegian, so I hope, really hope, you know, you're Swedish. And the pattern is this hat, and the kit contains the exact yarn to make the hat, and it's these two Rauma yarns. So, you know, most of you guys will know about Rauma Finull, you know, I've talked about that, you know, 1 or 2 times. There's a corresponding colour in alpaca silk. So for anyone who hates like mohair, this is actually 54% baby alpaca, 22% extra fine merino, 24% silk. So a very nice silk mohair substitute for those who can't deal with mohair. And hold them together and you can make this very simple hat. So that's the price. But there's more. There are also 2 lookbooks in here. So they don't come with patterns, but they have photos of patterns by Rauma. So there are these 2. I believe this one has mostly children's patterns and this one has mostly adult patterns. So altogether, you can just like kind of flick through these, and if any of the patterns take your fancy, you can get them from Rauma when you buy their yarn. They're a little bit old school in that way. That's just how they roll. So I thought I would include these, but on top of that, I've also added this little project bag. You could also say that this is a notions bag that was donated to me by a lovely viewer, because she had this really cool London print, which is coming up really nicely here now, and it has a flat bottom, so there's actually quite a bit of space in this. So you could easily have a sock project going on in here. And yeah, so that's basically the set. You know, you kind of get a hat kit, 2 lookbooks, a whole tote bag and a little project bag. So again, just get in touch with me on Ravelry, just send me a message with your postal address and I will ship it to you ASAP. So that was basically it. That's all I have for you guys this time around. I'm really pleased I managed to do it all before Anushka comes around, so yes. But just to round things off, I do want to, you know, again, just say thanks for your patience with everything going on with the PhD. For everyone who, despite me not putting in as much effort and attention into my podcast and Instagram and Ravelry, who will still knit my patterns and take part in the group and the knit alongs, all that stuff. I am super mega grateful for that, and it's really no reason to worry, to just wonder like, oh, where's she been, she's not made a video in a while. Like, you know the reason, it's been the same reason for 4 years, so you know. But if you're wondering, like if you're legit wondering where I've been, you can always go to the Instagram address below. Like, you don't actually need Instagram to see what I'm posting. You can just put the URL into your web browser on your phone or on your computer, it's all the same. And I put up something there every day, you know, because it's a lot easier than putting up stuff on YouTube. So that was basically all I was going to say about that. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Hopefully that won't be too long. So yeah, bye.